Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1634. The topic is Q&A, and the title is An Important Concept for Avoiding Injuries. Ugh. So there was a listener that had reached out, and we actually became a client now, but the listener tore their pec, their chest muscle, about a year ago, and then recently tore the other one. Ooh, so depressing. And they wanted help with programming to repair the tissues and regain their bench strength. So they're not overly concerned with the way they look, but they are actually relatively lean, and you can see actually the muscle tissue damage that happened. So they're definitely bummed about that. But they never really went for aesthetics. They kind of liked being strong, and they are feeling a little bit of like a personal identity crisis now that their bench is kind of dropped. So they want to rebuild that and kind of work back to it. So in our discussion of trying to figure out what the hell happened so that way I can help them the most, we talked about that basically what started leading to it was they had stress that happened in their life. They had some family events that were conflicting with their training. They weren't able to eat like they should, hydrate like they should, sleep like they should, and they were just stressed more than normal. And this led to them, they didn't want to pull back on their training amount or intensity because they still wanted all the results they could get. And they were all of a sudden taking like 2 or 3 energy drinks to try to get through the day, doing the workouts on no energy whatsoever, and just trying to do anything they could to still maintain the full capacity of training, even though they weren't getting the full support for the training. And that led to their injury. And then that led to the second injury. So what basically we started talking about was identifying what were some minimums for them, the baseline of what they needed for nutrition, baseline for like hydration, for sleep, like for self-care, that if they were below this baseline, then they would need to modify their training. So we've been going through that, kind of set it all up. I wrote them a bunch of programming and stuff. So it's all good, fun, excited, love that. But I want to share kind of their journey with you and then give you some advice. That way it doesn't lead to the same problem for you. So they were having these warning signs, like their training progressions had kind of stalled out. So they were trying to do, extra things like getting partner assisted negatives and concentrics. So basically, if their bench program called for them to add a repetition, so maybe I'm just making up numbers. Say they were doing 315 for a set of 5, and all of a sudden they came in and they're like, oh crap, I only got 3 because they were underfed, underslept. They would be like, hey man, can you help pull me up on the 4th and 5th one, but I'll at least get the negatives myself. So they were at least going to try to get the eccentric portion. Well, obviously that would lead to extreme tissue overload, and that led to their injury. So they were doing modifications in small ways, drinking extra caffeine, doing all these things, and it led to their injury. So what I wanted to kind of point out was an important concept for avoiding injuries is to maintain your minimums, or at least be freaking aware that you have minimums. And I wanted to talk through that. So nutrition-wise, minimums are calories and protein. If you are underdoing your calories and you're under-eating your protein, it's going to lead to issues. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second. Then, if you want to know what your calories and protein minimums are, podcast 1232, or you can go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, click on the free nutrition education link, and then the first document there is a create your own nutrition program document. You can view it, you can print it, it goes through all the equations of how to figure out your calories and protein. Everything you need is on that website right there. So you can go through that, do all the baseline work, email me, and we have nutrition coaching service 101. It's just $100 for a month. You can just buy me for a month, and I'll help put the finishing touches on it for you if you want. But that is a really helpful way to set up your nutrition. So that way you'll know your minimums for calories and protein. Hydration, a general minimum is half an ounce for every pound of body weight, and that would be technically kind of like lean tissue body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you would want to drink at least 100 ounces of fluid a day. But there's a lot of caveats to it, but let's just go with that as like a minimum, is at 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight. If you are outside of the United States and you do math that makes sense, you'll have to do all the conversions for that because our math is crazy. But that would be kind of the minimum. And then sleep, I would argue a lot of answers, but we'll just go with a minimum being 6 hours. So if you're below these minimums, but you're maintaining normal intensity and volume of training, what is happening is you're slowly accumulating unrepaired connective tissue and muscle tissue damage. So you're going into the gym and you're creating X units of damage, but your body can't quite repair all of that damage because you don't have the full amount of calories, protein, hydration, and sleep. So it might only repair, if you do 10 units of damage, it only repairs 8. Then the next workout, maybe it repairs 9. Then the next workout, it only repairs 7. And you get these little small accumulations of unrepaired damage. That's what leads to small aches and pains, small strains and annoyances, and then eventually big injuries. So what can we do? We have to focus on managing our minimums. Be aware of what your minimums are for calories and protein. Have some awareness of what you're doing per day for calories and protein. If you're behind on those, I'm going to talk about this in a second here, but you have to adjust your training. Pay attention to some degree to your hydration. Just take one day and think, okay, what do I normally drink throughout the day? Let me check and see how many ounces that actually is. You just check it for one freaking day. Just get an idea of where you normally are. And then sleep, I think we're all pretty well aware of how much sleep we get every day because we're usually wishing we could get more. But these things, these minimums, if you're below the minimums, you need to adjust your training. Why? Why do we need to adjust our training? Well, our minimums are calories, protein, hydration, and sleep. What they relate to is the ability for our body to respond to our training. So when we train, we create a stimulus for change. If I want to get stronger, I do things that my body says, holy shit, I'm not strong enough, I need to adapt to that. If I want to get bigger muscles, it says, holy crap, I have to get bigger muscles. Whatever we do in our training, the body goes, oh my gosh, that was awful. I need to make adaptations. I need to make changes. So your body responds to your training by making the changes your training is demanding. How it does that is in part involved with calories, protein, hydration, and sleep. If any of those elements are low, then your body's ability to respond to your training is low. So if you normally have maybe the ability to make 10 units of adaptation a week, but because your calories or protein are low, or your sleep is low, or your hydration is low, maybe you only have maybe 6 or 7 units of respondability. That's definitely not a word. But from your 10 units of adaptations the body can make, if you're below on any of your minimums, it doesn't have the full capacity to make all 10 adaptations. So all 10 units of adaptation, maybe it only has 6 or 7. So your ability to respond to training is only 70% capacity. Well, if your training typically would be set up for full capacity, right? You're not training every week, leaving anything on the table. You're probably training to the full capacity of what your body's ability to respond to your training is. So if your body's ability to respond is now only 60 or 70%, if you continue to train at full 100%, that doesn't make any sense. That's going to lead to all the problems. It's going to lead to the injuries. So if your ability to respond is lessened, then it would make sense that you only need the amount of training that your body can respond to. So if your training is set up for, 100% response, but you only have 60% response ability this week, then you only need 60-70% of your training. People often don't want to adjust their training because they don't want to do less, because they don't want to get less. Right? You're like, well, I don't want to train less because I don't want to get less results. You're already going to. You're already going to get less results. If you're below your minimums, calories, protein, hydration, and sleep, the damage is already done. The reduced progress possible has already happened. Training less won't get you less. You're already going to get less. If you skip your food, if you don't hydrate, if you don't sleep, you're already getting less. The training you do doesn't make a damn bit of difference. It cannot make any difference. It can only hurt you. Training the same as usual when you're not usual only increases the risk for injury. One way to think about this is sleep. This is what I was talking about with that client. So I said, if you stay up 2 hours later than normal, but you still have to get up at the same time the next day for work, you can't adjust that, right? Like if you typically sleep from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., but you stay up until midnight, you can't get a full 8 hours of sleep in 6 hours. You can't do that. You can't stop time. You can't slow down time. If you normally get 8 hours in 8 hours, but you only have 6 hours now, you can't get 8 hours of sleep in 6 hours. Very obvious, I'm assuming and hoping. So when you look at it as sleep, is once you've already stayed up late, you're screwed. There is nothing you can do. The damage is done. If you stayed up late, can't do a damn thing. You cannot adjust how you sleep to make up for it. You can't. Not that one night. Maybe the next night you can sleep an extra 30 minutes, the next night an extra 30 minutes. You can make up for it over time, but you can't make up for it that moment. The damage is already done. If you stay up late, you will get less sleep. Duh. Done. Can't do a damn thing about it. The same is true for your minimums. Once you undereat, once you don't have enough calories, once you don't have enough protein, once you don't have enough hydration, once you don't have enough sleep, you can't make it up. Training at full capacity is stupid. And I'm yelling at my younger self as well, because I did this when I was younger. It's stupid. Because unlike sleep, unfortunately, we literally cannot sleep 8 hours and 6 hours. But with our training, we can still do a full workout. If I take enough caffeine, or if I just, yell at myself and tell myself I'm a lazy piece of crap, if I don't do it, I'll put in a full workout. So unfortunately, we can physically do it. But it doesn't mean it was the right thing to do, and it sure as hell does not mean that you'll get the full adaptations. You will not. You literally will not. Just because you put in a full stimulus doesn't mean you're going to get a full response. Your ability to respond once you're below your minimums is done. Can't fix it. Done. So if you fall below your minimums, you might as well modify your training so you don't get hurt. Training at a full capacity won't do a damn bit of good. No good. This is a huge and very important concept for avoiding injuries. If you don't maintain your minimums, if you fall below your minimums, you have to modify your training. Now, how do we modify? First thing is you want to reduce intensity. Then you reduce volume. So you want to reduce the most intense thing that you do in your training because it has the highest degree of risk. So I'm going to give you two examples. I had a powerlifting client recently. They got sick, and they were sick over a weekend, and they still wanted to go in on Monday and do their full workout. So they got sick on Friday. They spent all day Saturday and Sunday kind of in bed, ate nothing. And then they're like, I still want to get up, though. I'm going to feel good tomorrow, and I'm still going to crush my workout. And I was like, no, you're not. Don't do that. I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? So no. So I was like, we have big freaking goals. You're going to accomplish really cool shit, but you're not going to do that if you get hurt. I said, you ate nothing, you drank nothing. For the love of God, please do not do a full workout. So we changed it. So their workout called for 3 top singles at 500-pound squat. And then they were supposed to back down and do 445 pounds for 3 sets of 3 reps. So we changed it to, I wanted them to warm up to a 465 single, then do 500-pound walkout. So they unrack it, walk out, hold it for 10 seconds, walk back in, rack it. And then go ahead and do your 445 for 3x3, 3 sets, 3 reps. So we just basically changed that top sets. Instead of 3 singles at 500, we went up to a single at 465, did 500-pound walkouts. They still got at least the stress of the 500 pounds on their body. And then we do the 445, and then we move on and live another day. So that was an example where we reduced the intensity. We reduced that 500-pound 3 singles to just a 500-pound walkout. Now, is that going to hurt them long run? Hell no. But trying to do 503 singles when they've eaten nothing and drank nothing for 2 days is probably going to hurt them. Could they have maybe made it? Sure. But is there going to be some reduced ability for their body to adapt to that training? Yes. So they're going to get small accumulated damage from that if they were to do the full workout wouldn't be fully repaired. And then all of a sudden in 3 or 4 weeks, we start having some kind of high hamstring annoyance or something wrong with the hip. And it would be from unrecovered stress that they would have from this workout if they were to do the full workout when they were below their minimums. So we switch to a 500-pound walkout. We still do the volume work, and then they're going to keep grooving and moving, no problems whatsoever. So that's an example. Another example is I have an aesthetic client. She had an absolute insane day. She went on a trip. Yeah, I think it was a work trip. I forget what the trip was for. But she went on this trip. She was supposed to be back on Sunday night. A whole bunch of craziness in life happened, and she didn't get back till Tuesday. So she typically trains 5 days a week. It would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday off. She trains Friday, Saturday, and then takes Sunday off. So 3-1-2-1. So she got back and she's like, well, I'll be able to get back in the gym on Wednesday. So I can just train Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'll be ready to go for next week. And I'm like, the hell you will. I was like, don't do that. No. I was like, you're about to train 5 days in a row and then another 3 days at the start of next week. So you're gonna try to train 8 days in a row? Please don't do that. Because we don't set you up. Our training does not leave room for you to all of a sudden have no rest days for 8 days. No. So what would happen is, she's tough. She is a tough person. So she will make it through all that. She would have done all 8 days and hit all of her targets and everything. But there would have been that unrepaired connective tissue and muscle tissue damage that would have been accumulating over the 8 days. And it would lead to, in a week or two, or by the end of the 8 days, something would be annoyed. She'd be frustrated, burned out, tired, maybe emotionally, mentally injured, or actually physically injured. So we said, no, let's hold up. Why don't we drop it down? I said, why don't we do a full body workout on Wednesday? Let's take Thursday off. Let your body kind of recover from all the stress of the travel and the workout. Then let's do lower upper on Friday, Saturday. Let's take Sunday off, and then let's get back into the week. So we dropped it down, did full body, day off, lower upper, day off. And that's going to give her still enough stimulus throughout this week to still progress and move forward, but it's going to make sure that we don't overtax the body when we know that its ability to recover to the training, adapt to the training, is going to be reduced. So when you're below your minimums, you have to reduce your training. You reduce intensity, and if there's not super intense stuff like the aesthetic client, you reduce volume. Okay? This is very important because a reduction of what you do does not get you less. If you already are below your calories, your protein, your hydration, and sleep, you're already going to get less. Just like that sleep thing. If I stay up 2 hours late, I can't just make up 2 hours of extra sleep unless I sleep in, which, obviously would be an answer. But most people, they can't just randomly sleep in 2 extra hours on a day. You have work or you have some other crap you have to do. So if I am below my minimums, my ability to adapt to training is already reduced. Therefore, I might as well reduce the training. Doing full training when my adaptation response is reduced isn't going to make any bit of difference. It's just going to hurt me. I understand that that is hard to accept because you can make yourself do the training. I know that. But it doesn't mean you should. There's a lot of things in life we can do, but it doesn't mean we should do them. And this is one of them. If I'm below my minimums, then I need to reduce my training intensity and volume and understand that that's actually the best thing for me, since my ability to respond and adapt to my training is already reduced. Okay? So again, if you want to know your calories and protein minimums, go to our website. Use that document, that free Create Your Own Nutrition Program document. Hydration, we said, is about a ½ ounce per pound of body weight. And then sleep, I would argue, is 6 is a good minimum to kind of hold. So do your best you can to maintain those minimums. If you have any questions, you have any troubles, or if you're unsure how to change your training specifically, just always reach out. I'm always happy to make podcasts for everybody. My email is brutalirongym@gmail.com. So thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful. Hope you listened to the advice. I wish I could go back in time and listen to it myself, but it is helpful. It is good advice. So put it into practice if you need to. Okay, well, if you like our podcast, please share it. The more people you share it with, the more people can help. So thank you for those who share it. Thank you to those who donate to support the podcast. It does have a high hosting cost every year. I give an hour to it every day. If you want to donate, you can do so on our website, www.brutalirongym.com. Even $5 a month, anything you can give it all adds up and it all helps a lot. Thank you very much. If you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.